What's up, guys? Back for another one. So today we have our new 3.4 2JZ block for the Chaser. Well, unwrap this, show you guys what's all new. So we have a spool 94mm crankshaft, the Titan main caps. You get a line bore with that. We have ACL bearings for our mains and rods. These are some boost line rods, very thick. I think they're rated to like 1500 or 2000 horsepower. And then if we take this pin out, flip this guy over, I'll show you the top side. So then we have our Manly. These are 10-to-1 compression ratio pistons. They have built-in gas porting, which helps seat the rings against the walls of the cylinder. So just extra sealing. Got it decked again. Everything's going to be all flat. And yeah, pretty much it. Just a pretty new GTE block, but we did end up deleting the oil squirters. So now we have to install our oil pump drive gear. So it's pretty cold in here. We need to heat the gear up to around 500 or 600 degrees and then be able to kind of press this on. And then once all that's on, we can start getting our new oil pump on and start sealing everything up. But I'm not going to do a full assembly video because we have one of those. It's mainly just going to show you all the new parts. We have our new ABM oil pan over there, which we'll get to, and then I'll show it all put together, and we might be putting the engine back in the car today, so we'll see. Alright, so we torched the gear. It slid right on all the way. Now we're going to test fit the oil pump. So we got this off of Kyle Blair. He pre-packed it and fixed the issue where the piston usually gets seized on these OEM pumps. But he also found an issue where when you put these on, Toyota has been manufacturing them incorrectly. So if I can get this on and show you guys a little better. So you can see kind of the dowels, and it'll kind of pop in this dowel, but this one you see it doesn't want to go in as much. And if you look at the bolt holes, you can see that the pump sits slightly lower than this, and that'll cause your pump gear to start digging into the pump housing, and you'll either blow out main seals or just have oiling issues in general. So what he recommends is either drilling out the dowel holes, which are right there and down here, so it'd be this one, or you could just remove the dowels entirely, and then you want to use a centering tool to center the pump relative to the crank, and then when you bolt everything down with the centering tool on, everything will just be aligned the way it should. And that's pretty much how to set that. So I'm still 3D printing the centering tool, but that should be done relatively soon. I'm just gonna pull the dowels out of the block. It's a little easier than drilling the pump and getting metal shavings everywhere. But yeah, once I go get that and pull these out, we can revisit this and show you guys about centering up the pump. Alright, so this is kind of what it's all gonna look like installed. I just kind of started all the bolts and set it up just so when I bang this one on, just because it's such a tight fit, I don't want the O-rings on the backside here to come out. So then once this is all popped in and centered up, then you can essentially just start tightening up all your bolts, and once it's tight to spec, then you can pull this out, so that way all your centering is good and you won't have any issues with the pump binding on the crankshaft. Alright, so it's the following day. We got everything all assembled. Needed to order new head dowels and front main seal, just because our old one we just didn't want to reuse. So here's everything assembled. Still have power steering, AC. We moved our turbo line here because this is a GTE block now, which we switched last time. But now we're just going to make a new turbo feed line, either using one of these ports. And we changed our drain to a standard GTE style drain, as we had a drain in the stock lower pan before. So we're just kind of updating everything, making some lines shorter. But yeah, there's the new ABM pan as well. Pretty much everything else is the same. Stock porting head, stock cam, but it has upgraded valve springs and retainers. And then 3.4 spool stroker crank with boost line rods again, and Manley 10-to-1 pistons. So this should make quite a bit of jam. We're using the same T51R turbo, same manifold, which we switched over to drive-by-wire in the last video. So now we're getting ready to toss this in there and then button everything up. Startup video on this, but I'm not gonna probably hook everything up yet. As far as intercooler piping, I think we might be selling that to another JZX owner and then just remaking what we have. Exhaust will get changed in the future. We're on 3-inch because we're gonna go to 4. And potentially our trans will get changed. We need to change our fuel lines, bigger lines and everything to get the power that this thing's gonna need. And the engine is back in the car as of last night. So now we just have to get our transmission on. I like to do the harness section below the manifold first just because of how tight everything is. I kind of do all that, put the manifold on just because you have to finagle the fuse box in there and there's not much room behind like the AC compressor to fit in and everything, and try to do all the wiring that way. And then we'll get to our turbo side and just like peripheral things like clutch fan and radiator. So I'm just gonna probably jump over when all that's completed. Alright, so everything's mostly together. We accidentally broke our fan shroud, knocking over a crankshaft into it. But now we have the rest of our fittings and line. We're gonna remake our oil feed to the side of the block and then change our drain fitting and shorten the line up just because it's a little longer now. So then we can get that just buttoned up, make sure everything's tight. We gotta put oil in it, coolant, and our power steering fluid, and then it's gonna fire up. So we just have to reconfigure for our bigger injectors, set our e-throttle map, and we should be good to go. Alright, so from the bottom, here's our existing line. You can see how we're just kind of test fitting up towards this new fitting here. This might be hard to see because of the light. This is a straight fitting, but we also have a 30-degree fitting. So we're just gonna test fit that one up and just see which angles kind of line up better for this setup. So this one's gonna be a little bit longer fitting as well. This one net us a shorter line, but it just depends how the angles want to work out. So turns out that's a little much angle, and the pan fitting is already at another angle, so it might just be better off if we use a straight. 15 degrees might have been pretty decent, but they don't have that. And you see our line up here melted on our manifold before, which we have heat sheathing to use, but we want to try to keep everything as far away. So this is going to bring it too close to the manifold and the engine. So we're going to end up going with the straight fitting and then mark it out to fit. All right, so I got some light this time. Here's our return line, the big one, and then our feed is right above it. You can see it kind of routes through the manifold there. And we'll come up top, and you can see nicely clean tuck. We have our heat sheathing on there just because it's practically touching the manifold, and then there's still one of the runners here for the drain that it gets pretty close to, so we have 2 heat shieldings. So that's all good. So now we just need to get to our fluids, prime the system with oil pressure, and start it up. Alright, so we just got the injector set up. It's quite tedious, but for now we're just gonna set our new displacement to a 3.4 liter here. And then we're also gonna shut off our injectors. And now that that's off, we can start logging it and watch our oil pressure and make sure that that's gonna go up. And just so battery's a little dead. So I'm going to get a jump pack on it, and I will try this again until we build oil pressure, so that way we can start the car properly. Alright guys, we got oil pressure now, so if we watch this purple line right below fuel pressure when we start cranking. maxed out the sensor at 111 psi cranking, so everything should be filled now. I'm gonna go set the charger up a little bit longer just so we can crank it. I'm gonna turn fuel back on and it should fire right up. Okay, fuel back on. Let's see if she goes. Just got to kick up our E-throttle table a little bit. All right, let's give it another shot. So now it's a little too high. We'll turn it back down and go from there. All right, third time. Idling smooth. So I got real good oil pressure. And she's going. Alright, so that's just going to be it for this video. Did a quick heat cycle. Just going to let it drink the rest of this coolant, cool back down fully, do a couple more of those before we button up everything else and take it for a drive. We're going to remake our intercooler piping because that's going to get, our current one's going to get sold. And then we could just remake this out of aluminum instead of the stainless that we have, just because that took quite a bit of time. It's like 15 hours into welding those two pipes and the intake, but we'll keep the intake. Other than that, car's running well, no issues. Forgot to hook up the alternator. So yeah, we'll just button up everything, make sure there's no leaks, change the oil after another couple heat cycles, and it should be good to go. So yep, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.